Well, greetings and salutations to you. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep in the heartland of America, right to your heart. At least that is our sincere hope. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel, and we've got a great discussion for you today. A great discussion for you about Lucifer, the true origin, the true history of Lucifer. I mean, he's got his own TV show. He's all over the Bible. Everybody knows who Lucifer is. Everybody talks about Lucifer. Some worship him, some fear him. And Lucifer, I mean, his own show, he's got to be all over the Bible, right? Wrong. Do you know, guess how many times Lucifer is mentioned in the Bible? I'll wait and have a drink of distilled water while you figure. What do you figure? 150? Lucifer, ladies and gentlemen. Lucifer is mentioned in the Bible one time. What? One time, ladies and gentlemen, is Lucifer mentioned in the Bible. That's right, just once. And that should cause your feelers to go up and should cause you to think and wonder, wow, something's going on here. This can't be right. This can't be true. What's going on? Let's talk about Lucifer. Let's talk about what we think about Lucifer. Let's talk about what we've been told to believe about Lucifer. Let's talk about who Lucifer is, or even if Lucifer is. So let's go right to the text, because the text doesn't care what you think. The text doesn't care what you've been taught. And this is the beginning and the end of Lucifer in the Bible. And as you can see with the one thing I don't like about the Bible Hub is it starts out in King James. And when you drill down to a verse, it defaults to this Berean Study Bible, because they've probably paid them money to be the default scripture. But see, even here, Lucifer isn't used, because that's given you, and I mean, just look at this. New International Version, Lucifer is not used. New Living Translation, Lucifer is not used. English Standard, Lucifer is not used. Berean Study, Lucifer. New American Standard, no Lucifer. Christian Standard, no Lucifer. Contemporary English, Good News. Holman Christian. International Standard Version. Net Bible. New Heart Bible. God's Word Translation. None of these. Oh, here's one, finally, Jubilee Bible 2000 and King James, the only one that has the name Lucifer. That should prick up your ears. But here it is in the Bible. What was it? Here it is. Isaiah 14:12. For how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, thou which did weakest the nations? I've said in my heart, I'll ascend into heaven. I'll exalt my throne above the stars of God. I'll sit on the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High. You'll be brought down to the pit, to the sides of the pit. They'll look narrowly upon you and say, is this the one that made earth to tremble, that shook kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, that destroyed the cities? All the kings of the nations, everyone in his own house. All of these things that we think have been about Lucifer, are they really about Lucifer? I'll ascend into heaven. I'll exalt my throne above the stars of God. I'll sit in the mount of the congregation. Is it really about Lucifer? And if it really is about Lucifer, why is the King James Version the only modern version to even use the name of Lucifer? Somebody sent me this website, and I can't remember who sent it to me, but let me share with you the objective, impartial truth about the name, ladies and gentlemen, and the word of Lucifer. And if you are a person that is a Bible literalist, if you're a person that believes it's the King James Version or nothing else, I believe it 110%. 25%. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid to tell you, you're going to have to do some reevaluation. You're going to have to do some rethinking. You're going to have to do some recalculating. You're going to have to think about some different things. And right on cue, as I try to get into something deep, I've lost the window. See if I can pull it back up again. Where is that window? It's the craziest thing. I'm going to close this one down and see if I can't pull up the other one. It doesn't want to pull up. How about that? So, ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulties. I'm going to have to get in here and find out where I found that. I'm going to have to find the email that gave me the data to talk about what we're going to talk about. Scintillating live radio. You got to love it, ladies and gentlemen. Scintillating live YouTube. And we're back. See how quick it is? That was a complete meltdown, ladies and gentlemen. I got that hot feeling in my chest there for a second, like, oh, crap. What am I going to do? I lost it, but thankfully, it's right back here with us, and we can talk about Lucifer. So, I'm reading from some scholarly documents, and it doesn't really matter who it's from or where it's from, because it's just information, and the information doesn't care what you think. The word Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12 presents a problem to mainstream Christianity. It's a much larger problem to Bible literalists, and it becomes a huge obstacle for many others. Lucifer makes his appearance in the 14th chapter of the Old Testament book of Isaiah at the 12th verse, as we've shown you, and nowhere else, as we've shown you. In the King James, it reads, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?" There's a problem here, ladies and gentlemen. The name Lucifer, it's a Latin name. Lucifer is a Latin name. When the book of Isaiah was written, the Latin language did not exist. Lucifer is a Latin name. When the book of Isaiah was written, ladies and gentlemen, the Latin language did not exist. So how did, and trust me, I'm just getting started, how did a name that did not exist from a language that did not exist find its way into the King James Version, bless God, best Bible ever made, good enough for Paul and Silas, good enough for me? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's obvious that it did so under nefarious circumstances. So let me take you right to the original language so you can see that Lucifer is not there in the original language. Verse 12, Isaiah 14:12. See, none of the other versions, but they're not the King James, bless God, have it, because here's what it says in the literal translation of the literal Hebrew language into literal English. "Oh, how you have fallen from heaven, you morning star, you shining one, you Hallel, you star of the morning." An epithet of the king of Babylon. What? The shining one, the son of the dawn, the Assyrian Venus. Oh, and now we get down to Lucifer. But the word doesn't mean Lucifer. It means brightness. It means morning star. But they say, oh, it's really Lucifer. But it's not really Lucifer. You can understand and see that it is not Lucifer. It's morning star. It's the shining one. It's the son of the dawn. So how in the world did the name Lucifer, which wasn't in the original, get into Isaiah 14:12 for those of you that read the King James Version, bless God. How did it happen? Well, it happened in a way that really is not that surprising. How did a Latin name in a Roman language that was not invented yet at the writing of Isaiah find its way into the Bible? Well, the chancellor of the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati said that in response to the question, how did Satan or Lucifer get into the 14th chapter of Isaiah, which describes the angel who fell to become the ruler of hell? Please explain this in a way that anyone can understand it and doesn't have to have a university degree. The answer, says this writer, was a surprise. So much so that the writer had to sit back in a chair and take a moment before continuing. And I might suggest you have a seat. If you're driving a motor vehicle, pull over to the side. If you're holding any sharp implements, please set them down. If you're operating any power tools, please cease operation so you don't hurt yourself. But what the chancellor of the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati said was that in the original Hebrew text, as we've seen, this chapter of Isaiah, 14th chapter, was not about a fallen angel, but about a fallen Babylonian king who during his lifetime had persecuted the children of Israel. It contains no mention of Satan, either by name or reference. And this scholar could only speculate that early Christian scribes writing in the Latin tongue then used by the church had decided for themselves that they wanted the story to be about a fallen angel, a creature not even mentioned in the original Hebrew text, and to whom they gave the name Lucifer. Oh, I'm glad I left this up so you could see this, because if you look at this, even look what this what at least this Berean Study Bible people are saying. Downfall of the king of Babylon. This is about the king of Babylon. This is not about Lucifer or any other being. It is about, see, even here, King James, it's about Babel. It's about Babylon. This is the king of Babylon that has been debased. It's the king of Babylon that all of these bad things have happened to. It's the king of Babylon who was going to ascend above the heavens. None of this is about Lucifer, because Lucifer didn't even exist when all of this was written, ladies and gentlemen. But why the name Lucifer? Well, in Roman astronomy, in Roman Latin, that's how you get the name Lucifer. Lucifer was the name given to the morning star, also known as Venus. And by the way, that's what AKA means, also known as. So Lucifer in Roman astronomy was the name given to the morning star, also known as Venus, and that star appears in the heavens just before dawn, heralding the rising sun. The name comes from the Latin ferir, bringer, or bearer of light, as we've seen in the text itself. In the Hebrew text, the expression used to describe the Babylonian king before he fell and eventually died, the word is halal, son of Shinar, which can best be translated as day star, son of the dawn. The name evokes a golden glitter of a proud king's dress and court, something King James and King Louis were known for. And King Louis was even called King Louis the 16th or the 14th. I think it was the 14th, was called the Sun King. Because he was from the sun? No, but because he was so bright and shiny and all duded up. And listen to this, folks. Again, according to the chancellor of Hebrew Union College, the scholars authorized by King James to translate the Bible into current English did not use the original Hebrew text. Do you understand the implications of that statement? I've said it to you. If you're a scholar at all, if you research at all, you know this. When they decided they were going to take basically the Latin Vulgate and turn it into an English Bible for the English-speaking world and work the divine right of kings in there and work in some softening on the idea of divorce, things that King James wanted to have happen. He and his merry men, and you know what I mean by that if you've heard and listened at all before. But they didn't use the Hebrew text to make their translation. The idea that the King James is the most accurate version is laughable. The idea that the King James Version is the most accurate is ludicrous. The idea that the King James is the most accurate is absolutely, totally the creation of unsophisticated mindsets. It was created for a few reasons. It was created to do some things that King James wanted done, and due to the linguistic expertise of one, it's Shakespeare. I forget his name now. How can I forget that? It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen. But Sir Francis Bacon, aka William Shakespeare. Yeah, I said it. He had it for a year before it was released to the public. That's why it's arguably the most beautiful of biblical translations. Obviously, arguably the most beautiful prose and beautiful writing, but it's not accurate or faithful to the original languages because they never even looked at the original languages. It's Shakespeare's Bible. It's Shakespeare's Bible. So they didn't even use the original Hebrew text, but used the versions translated by St. Jerome in the 4th century. Now, if you had documents that were much older than the documents that you were using, then you weren't trying to make the most literal, accurate translation of the Bible you could. You were trying to make a Bible to fit your fear and guilt control matrix. You were trying to make a Bible to fit your one world government. You were trying to make a Bible to fit your new world order. And you were only the second ones to try that and to do that because the Romans before you did it. Every word written in the New Testament, at least, probably the Old, but the New Testament at least, was vetted, and approved by Roman censors. That's where we get the word censorship. And I know how all of you on YouTube feel about censorship. Why don't you take it from your YouTube to your church and feel the same way about a document called the Bible that is just as censored, way more censored than anything that you're going to see or hear on YouTube, or not, as it were, see or hear on YouTube? The King James Version is the equivalent of the Donald J. Trump version, authorized version of the Bible. It's the moral equivalent of the Barack Hussein Obama authorized translation of the Holy Bible. Governments writing for the benefit of governments writing to perpetuate the fear and guilt control matrix with no desire whatsoever to get to the original languages. But that's another story. To the name Lucifer, they didn't use the King James translators of Hebrew text, but used those translated by St. Jerome in the 4th century. Jerome had translated the Hebraic metaphor, day star, son of the dawn, as Lucifer. Why did he do it? Well, again, in the opinion of this scholar, he did it because they wanted to make that story about a fallen angel, a creature not even mentioned in the original Hebrew text, and to whom they gave the name Lucifer. So, with that decision in sometime prior to 1611, a metamorphosis took place and Lucifer was born. Lucifer was born into our world with the publication of the King James Version of the Bible, actually with the Latin Vulgate, because he was in there, but you know what? We didn't read it. No, most of us don't know anything about it. It's all Latin to us. For our intents and purposes, Lucifer was born in the 17th century with the first opening of the pages of the King James Version, and a metamorphosis took place. All of a sudden, this being Lucifer, the morning star, a disobedient angel cast out of heaven to rule eternally in hell, theologians, writers, poets everywhere began to interwove the myth with the doctrine of the fall. And now in Christian tradition, be it Roman Catholic or Roman Protestant, Lucifer is now the same as the devil. and ironically, the prince of darkness. Lucifer is nothing more than an ancient Latin name for the morning star, Venus, the bringer of light. That can be confusing for Christians, he writes, because, oh yeah, Christians also identify Christ as the morning star, a term used as a central theme in many Christian sermons. Jesus himself calls himself the morning star in Revelation 22:16. Jesus calls himself the bright and morning star in Revelation 22:16. Have you not seen that? Have you forgotten about that? Have you overlooked that because of the obviously tremendously discomforting implications that this brings up? Revelation 22:16. Jesus, Jesus, am the root and offspring of David. I am the bright and morning star. But wait a second. Isaiah 14:11 said that Lucifer was the bright and morning star. Wow. How do we deal with that, ladies and gentlemen? How do we deal with that? Ooh, some of you have been yelling and screaming this whole show, Lucifer is real, Lucifer is real. Same thing in Hebrew, bright and morning star. Maybe Lucifer is real. Maybe Lucifer is really here. Maybe his name is Jesus, because they both claim to be the same thing. And for those who do not read beyond the King James Bible, Lucifer is Satan, they say. So says the word of God. Henry Neufeld, a Christian who comments on biblical sticky issues, said the passage is often related to Satan, and a similar thought is expressed in Luke 10:18 by Jesus. Its primary meaning is given in Isaiah 14:4, which says that when Israel is restored, they will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. So they tried to make it prophetic, but they all point it back to the king of Babylon. And it all goes back to the desire by Christian scholars to invent a devil. Because, folks, let's face it, you can't have a fear and guilt control matrix if you don't have a bad guy. They had to invent a bad guy, and Lucifer is the bad guy they invented. And he wasn't invented, ladies and gentlemen, for popular consumption until the King James Version came along. Lucifer is not real. All this debate about who's Lucifer, what is he, who is he? He's an invention of the Roman Catholic and Roman Protestant churches. He's not real. He's an invention. Sorry, Christians. Sorry, Luciferians. He's not real. He's been invented, and you've been played, and your own poor scholarship is what has played you and what has caused you to get to what has to be, and trust me, I know, a very embarrassing place. How have we allowed ourselves to be tricked? And how do we continue to allow ourselves to be tricked and have these debates about who's Lucifer, when he's a creation of big time religion, and he's no daisy. He's no daisy at all. The text doesn't care what you think. And the thing that strikes me, the thing that really strikes me, let me look up a word real quickly because I think I know what it means, but I don't want to use it unless I know for sure that I know what it means. The protagonist is the leading character in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text. The protagonist. And the antagonist in literary terms. The antagonist is the person who actively opposes or is hostile to someone or something. He is the adversary. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know from our studies of history that the name Jesus is not real. It's a linguistic impossibility. So the protagonist of the New Testament, Jesus, not real. So how surprising is it that the antagonist of the New Testament, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, he's not real either. What can you say about a book whose protagonist and antagonist are proven to be literary, linguistic absurdities, creations of a fear and guilt control matrix? This might be the most important podcast excellence edition that we've ever put out. The protagonist and the antagonist of the Bible are made up. They're the literary equivalent of Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. Well, maybe the Easter Bunny and the Boogeyman. They're not real. They never were real. And how come it took until, I forget what the date is today, July 15th, 2019, for us, and even for me, 100,000 hours of study. If you're so smart, Jeff, then how come it took you till today to figure out that Lucifer was a Latin name put into an ancient Hebrew book before Latin was even a language? Why look, honey? Why look? Oh, how's it go? Well, look, Johnny Ringo's an educated man. How I do hate him. Even Johnny Ringo knew Latin, and he wasn't even a daisy. Not a daisy at all. Now you're the huckleberry. Now you know in vino veritas. And with Jesus fake and Lucifer fake, the names, you got trouble in any language, cousin. It's a fear and guilt control matrix. It's a made-up, contrived story to keep you scared, to keep you in guilt, to keep you in fear, to keep you under control. The truth is, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. You don't have the original sin. You got the spark of divinity within. That's the true history of Lucifer. Lucifer is a lie, a very, very bad, ham-handed mistranslation. And they did it on purpose, ladies and gentlemen. They thought we'd never know. It took a while, but now we do know, ladies and gentlemen. Now we do know. I was going to go into the chat room and go through. Maybe we won't. Let's just let it go. Let's let this sink in. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at 9:00 p.m. Central, we have The Last Stand coming at you with my co-host, Robert Bauer. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are honored to have Laura Eisenhower, great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower, with us to talk about all manner of things. On Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, Lucifer's in the Bible one time. Well, unless you count Jesus in Revelation, then it's twice. And I said it was the same person. You guys thought I was crazy, but now, boom, linguistically, I'm right. The text says, and the text doesn't care what you believe. On Wednesday, we're going to have Steve Olson from WSO going to come on and talk about the latest understandings in the Planet X Nibiru realm. You know I'm not a big advocate of that. Steve said there's been some major shifts and changes within the beliefs and the beliefs and understandings within that community. And who better to bring that to us than Steve Olson. So he'll be here with us on Wednesday, sometime in the afternoon. We haven't nailed it quite down yet, but he will be with us to talk about Planet X Nibiru. Steve Olson of WSO will be with us. On Thursday, a very special presentation with Robert Stanley, and we're going to talk about, I don't even know if I can tell you this. We're going to talk about on Thursday with Robert Stanley at 9 p.m. We're going to preempt the rapscallions because this is a major event. We're going to talk about how Donald Trump's salute to America on July 4th was a magical banishing ritual that the implications of which will blow your minds. Thursday night, Robert Stanley. Wednesday, Steve Olson, WSO. Tonight, Laura Eisenhower. We've also got confirmation that Paladin is going to be on the last stand on August the 5th, July 29th. We're going to have astrologer Jeff Harmon. Forgive me if I got your last name wrong. I mean, things are just popping. Zach Hubbard's coming back on the last stand. So, ladies and gentlemen, get in, sit down, have a hot cup of shut up, and buckle in because it's fixing to get really, really exciting, really, really fast. So now you know, ladies and gentlemen, the secret history of Lucifer. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is the Christian Whistleblower channel, where we encourage you to guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the last generation of real humans. History is written by the winners. So we must win today. So together, we can write a better tomorrow. Until tonight, 9 p.m. with Laura Eisenhower and Robert Bauer, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen, to get busy.